Hello and welcome to our series on Breakthrough in Banking with GenAI. Today we are having the first episode of the series where we are talking about evolving role of CISOs in the new age of GenAI. We have realized that GenAI is not just a buzzword anymore. It has become a reality. There is a potential to add almost Indian rupees 33,000 crore of GDP impact by 2029-2030 by GenAI. With this change, the role of CISOs is also evolving. The expectation is not for them just to become digital enablers, but also key decision makers. In 2024, the overall cybersecurity budgets of different organizations have also increased. More than 60% organizations have increased their cybersecurity budget. Still, when it comes to AI, almost a third of cybersecurity leaders feel that the decisions are still being made in black box and they are not being involved in those decision-making processes, which eventually creates a lot of negative impact when it comes to some of the most mission-critical aspects like cybersecurity. In this particular podcast, we are going to discuss how the role of CISOs is evolving, what are the emerging expectations from some of the leaders, from CISOs, and how CISOs and different organizations can help CISOs achieve their objectives, their goals in the future. I would like to introduce our panelists to you. First, we have Mr. Kiran Belsekar. Kiran is the CISO of Bandhan Life. Kiran drives digital transformation projects. He comes with almost 20 years of experience in IT management, strategy, and delivery across different sectors, retail, banking, insurance. Kiran has led tech, data governance, and cybersecurity functions for some of the fastest growing insurance companies in India. Then we have Ravi. Ravi comes with almost 2 decades of experience in developing partnerships across cloud, OEM, telecom sectors. He has led multiple product launches in transforming partners and customers in their digital and GenAI journeys. And then we have Mr. Malay Bhomik. Malay heads the enterprise business of Persistent. Again, Malay also comes with decades of experience in identifying, developing, and growing new markets and adapting right technology for digital transformation. In his current capacity, Malay heads the Google enterprise business for Asia Pacific and special partnerships engagement with Google for rest of the world. Welcome all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll kickstart the discussion. Kiran, so I have the first question for you. Now, Bandhan Life has been the front runner in adopting and implementing AI technologies in areas like identity authentication, cybersecurity, dynamic pricing, underwriting, claim settlements, fraud detection, etc. Where do you see and what is your vision, and as a company's vision, and what kind of journey you are undertaking?
So thank you very much, first of all, for having me in such eminent panel. So Bandhan Life's vision is to ensure the life insurance is accessible to the middle India. And that's where, if you see, it's a vast opportunity where we are talking about the middle earners, the self-employed caste, and also one of the very important category of a segment where we are talking about they do not have any kind of a documents which a traditional or an insurers really need to issue the insurance policies. So I think that is where we have been running this quest for last 30 plus months, and where we are looking at using the tech and artificial intelligence to really transform this space for the middle India. And that's where we are talking about having the alternate documents which could really data sources, which could really help to identify this from the financial underwriting, also transforming it from the traditional underwriting, the human-based underwriting, to a system-based underwriting using this additional India tech stack perspective, which is very largely evolved. So these are the spaces we have been really working around, and it's an exciting space to innovate, to transform, And we feel Bandhan Life is spearheading the space where transforming really the life insurance space perspective.
Perfect. One recent accolade for Bandhan Life, you have won the best use of an award for best use of AI in life insurance very recently.
Yeah.
This actually signifies there is a strong push from the leadership when it comes to AI and specifically the Gen AI aspect. As a CISO, how have your priorities shifted and goals shifted, and how are you preparing for the future? Because we've seen the flow of technology, the pace of technology is not slowing down; it's rather increasing day by day. So, how you see your priorities as a CISO changing?
So this achievement really underscores the complete leadership, strong support in terms of the having the artificial intelligence and how it is also embedded into the business operations as well. So from a CISO of Bandhan Life, I think this is a very good and great opportunity where it's also in terms of, I would say, challenges, but also it also brings upon a lot of opportunities as well. If you really look around this, the zero documentation, which we are trying to really achieve, I think it is really also transforming the security as well, because it ensures that we have a minimum amount of data which has been collected from the customers.
Yeah.
Everything is using a data stack of India tech stack. Is actually we are doing an authentication with that rather than collecting a documents. We are actually using that same data which is really available. So the data collection is absolutely minimized in those lens. But let me share you the strategy from the cybersecurity perspective, what we are trying to look at in terms of we are also transforming the way the cybersecurity is really looked at, because while we are using the modern data sources, alternate data sources, we are using the cloud, AI from that perspective, we also need to ensure that we also move away from the traditional security as well. So we are transforming the way the threat detections, we are advancing towards the modern AI-based threat detections and even from the response perspective. If you really look at from a traditional security, you will see a lot of point products which were deployed in our ecosystem. Now we are moving from point products to a platform-based approach,
Okay.
which really helps and simplifies our security, which really helps to helps in faster detection and faster remediation as well, and faster response. I think that is where we are going to see a major difference, because it is not only about detection, it is how faster you respond to the cyber threats. I think that is where, and this AI have also really helped us to release our resources from the manual activities to a very intentional or the high initiatives. I think that has really helped us to really being, and then the continuous monitoring space, which has really helped us in terms of keeping our AI models, keeping our environment continuously monitoring, not only from the inside out, but also having it from the outside in perspective as well. So these are the things. Otherwise, from a preparation strategies perspective, obviously, yes, I rightly pointed out investing in the advanced technologies is one aspect of it. The other is on the collaboration. We highly collaborate with our risk function, with our tech, engineering, data science, all these functions in terms of developing our security strategy perspective. And finally, on training as well. So I think that is very important aspect, because humans are the final leg of defense from the any cybersecurity initiative perspective. So I think they need to be trained enough, and it is not that one thing, one training which is broadcasted to the entire employee base. Everyone needs a different level of trainings, from the board of directors to the executives to the lowest of the cadre of the employee. I think everyone needs that training, but a different level of training. Now we are already seeing an AI-based threats as well, deep fakes all coming in. So I think that is where the awareness also needs to be brought in from the organization perspectives. Yeah.
Perfect. You did touch upon a couple of points from zero documentation perspective to fraud detection. I realized that Bandhan Life has been getting into some of the digital initiatives like Pure Digital 2.0. Can you help us understand what protocols have you set in place? Because the larger organization need to adhere to the security protocols. But as a CISO, what protocols have you implemented in place to ensure the security in protocols are being met, and people are adhering to that.
So I think it is becoming very much evident now in terms of the way the cybersecurity is playing a role in the digital 2.0. Even in our space, it is becoming. So my primary role is not only to establish the security protocols in the organization, but it is also important that entire organization adheres to those security policies as well. So I think that is where we have tried to bring in a lot of process change into this. So one of them is a shift left. So the shift left, what I meant was having the security team involved by the security by design. So that's where we are trying to bring in the security quite early into the life cycle of any kind of a technology or new process implementation perspective. I wanted to give an analogy of the car airbags. So when do you really need car airbags? You need them during the accident stage and not after the accident. So I think that shift left is really helping in terms of ensuring that the security team is involved quite early into the life cycle space. Other is the risk management framework. Adopting a right risk management framework is very crucial at this stage. So my team ensures that we also enable those rights risk management framework, and we already have one is coming from the regulatory standard perspective. We have an ISO, NIST standard as well. So I think that really plays a very important role in that. Collaboration with the executive leadership, I think that is also an essential aspect of it. So I ensure that I speak to the executive leadership in terms of how the security is aligned to the business objectives, the corporate standards perspective. So I think that also really helps in terms of maintaining the strike a right balance. Ensuring the awareness is crucial across. Policy development and compliance, along with the technical deployment of the security controls, it is also important that we have the policies which are being rightly tracked, articulated, communicated back to all employees and enforced as well. So I think that is also plays a very important role. And crisis management and the incident response. I think it's just a matter of time when these incidents are going to happen. So you have to be always ready that the incidents are going to happen. So you need to carry out your drills of the cybersecurity incident management and how is your communication plan going to work across. I think that will really help to be ready for any kind of a cybersecurity incident. And security first culture. Cultivating this security first culture is very important into the organization. So shift left, employee awareness. This really helps to make the security awareness culture. And finally, the AI-based solutions. As I said, these AI-based solutions has to get embedded into each and every framework, which the security protocols which we are trying to achieve. So I think that is where it is all going to marry out. It's a collaboration. So gone are the days when security were looked just as a brakes, but it is now they are going to be an enablers while you are moving fast. And the threat ecosystem is also largely evolving very fast. So it is very important that you have the cybersecurity controls, shift left approach, awareness, AI-based solutions to manage the latest threats, which we are talking about, deepfakes, AI-based threats, because it is not only because as a practitioner, I always say that have to be right always. It has to be 100 out of 100. Even a one miss is you're gone. You have lost the game. So that's the unfortunate game that where the practitioners has to be always right. And that's how we are trying to build it.
Perfect. Actually, you gave a very interesting example of the airbags. You need the airbags before when the accident happened, not after that. I think I remember a couple of months back, I was doing a study. I was trying to understand, is there a correlation between, in India, when you do Google search trends on cybersecurity, on cyber threats, and the actual incidents. I did the same study 1 year back, and I was doing the same study 3 months back. When I did the study 1 year back, there was a clear indication that when the threat happens, there is a huge spike in Google search trend in India for cybersecurity, cyber threat. Everyone started searching about that. When I did the study 3 months back, the spike reduced, so the gap reduced, which actually tells that companies are actually taking proactive measures rather than reactive measures, which was the case, I think, a couple of years back or so. And thank you for highlighting that incident. The next question, Malay, I have for you.
Yeah.
Considering the complexity and regulatory environment of life insurance companies, what are the most pressing issues that you hear? And how Persistence as a company that has a very strong AI capability help life insurance companies in setting up a secure digital solution space?
Okay. First of all, thanks for having me here and giving me an opportunity to talk about Persistent. We are doing a lot of exciting things for the organizations, and we are growing rapidly these days. And we are in this industry for more than 30 years, spread across globe and working for various customers. Majority of our revenue comes from the BFSI segment. So while doing these things, we understood the challenges specifically for this particular industry. Yes, especially after the COVID era, usage of data has gone up. Data management, data security is not only collecting your data, storing them, and using it for, like business outcomes. It is a responsibility, collective responsibility for all of us to securely use and how we can minimize the risk. In order to do that, we did a lot of research internally. We have hired a lot of domain experts internally. And after doing a lot of research, we have developed a couple of products. We don't call it as a product internally. It's called accelerators. These products are not only, help the CISO or the organizations in terms of security, also automate a lot of processes, lot of other aspects. If I can give you an example, we have developed accelerators called PolicyWise. This particular accelerator or maybe the product help customers in terms of recommendations, policy recommendations, comparisons. Another product we have developed called ResponseWise. This is specifically for the backend team member of insurance companies, so that they can do the fraud detection, policy settlement. Similarly, we did for, Sir was talking about underwriting. So we have a solution for smart underwriting. And similarly, for the chatbot is very popular these days. We have a product called Guru Chat. So these things we have already developed, and a lot of our customers are using these things. I was going through some internal, research. Like we have today around 50 plus active engagement in terms of GenAI. By the way, these products are all based on generative AI. And we have existing customers, active customer, 50 plus customers. And 200 plus active conversation is going on, including India and across the globe. So in order to do that, we are quite excited and to share about these things. Our solution has been recognized by various large organizations, research organizations, and companies like Google and all.
The next question, Ravi, I have for you.
Yeah.
Now, GenAI, we understand, when it comes for implementation of GenAI, it comes with its own complexities. And there are at times companies face difficulty in understanding, how to implement GenAI. But having said that, how does Google enable BFSI organizations, insurance companies, to detect and respond to some of the emerging threats related to AI?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's an excellent conversation that we're having. Well, from a Google standpoint, right, we have seen this conversation of GenAI evolving from a, marketing to essentially POCs to demos in the last 1.5 years. And now we are at a stage wherein we are seeing a lot of these POCs and demos are getting into production. So till now, it was largely the product leads, the CXOs trying to, try to make a flagship product out of it and essentially be the first to the customer from a retail standpoint. Now, in the last 3 months, what is happening is we are having active conversations with the CISO community, who essentially is trying to find out how can we solve the new generation of threats that is coming in with the newer kind of deployments. Because these deployments are mostly on GenAI, LLMs, models, third party, and these deployments cannot happen in-house. And they can be time consuming and at the same time expensive. So we at Google essentially are creating a framework called as SAFE, which is called SAIF, Security AI-based framework, which is actually based on 3 principles. One is, as you rightly said, the shift left. There is a secure software supply chain. How can you use the same model to use it for GenAI and AI/ML workloads? That's one. 2 is, how do you harmonize the various tools available in the market? Because the customer is not going to be on Google Cloud only. They could be third-party tools, or could be on-premise services. How could you harmonize a security tool which essentially works across all of them seamlessly from a security incident reporting and, of course, response perspective? And the last and the most important one is essentially how do you contextualize AI itself for security threat postures and not make it as a blocker for the growth of the products, but essentially be an enabler for innovation. Coming to BFSI in specific, we have AI/ML based solutions on fraud, on say anti-money laundering, based on AI itself. What it essentially means is, earlier it used to be a lot of time being consumed to report a fraud, to detect, and then possibly respond and to confirm if it's really a fraud. And it was largely from days. Now it has reduced to hours because of the power of AI. How it essentially happens is, we actually are using frameworks coming from AI with the trends coming from the money laundering framework itself. We understand the various money laundering frameworks that is essentially available from a trend perspective. You essentially put it into a tool, and from a system perspective, you give an explainable AI to the banks or the system engineers, who essentially quickly get a credit score or a risk score for the transaction. It could be based on number of funds that is getting transacted in a small period of time, transactions happening across various geos for a single individual, or possibly different IP addresses used at the same point of time too. And these are essentially queues that is coming in. So these are real risks. So risk score essentially goes up, and the number of false positives actually have come down. What is a real threat and what is a real fraud? This essentially was the people who are trying to grappling with that. That essentially has come down drastically, and the response to real frauds essentially have, the response time to real frauds essentially have increased multifold. As I said, from days to hours. So these are 2 aspects. One is, as you rightly said, shift left, and of course getting into the application layer from a banking lens and trying to solve it with the AI capability. So these are powerful conversations that we are having, and we see good success there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Malay, another question for you. Yeah. Now, we understand CISO's role is evolving, as we discussed. It's evolving from being enablers to more of key decision makers. Mm-hmm. Now, how persistent helps CIOs in achieving their goals? Do you have any tools or frameworks in place where CISOs can use to get where they want to be to achieve the intended outcomes?
Well, as I said, we have been working with various organizations globally, and specifically with the CISO, CRO, CDOs. We understand it is not like the traditional way used to happen work. Now, business has changed, and everything is outcome based. Everything is driven by the revenues, outcome, and so we understand what kind of requirement is coming from the CISOs, what kind of priorities they are having. In order to do that, we have multiple approach. We created a framework internally, specifically for the security. Okay. We created a security team, and we have developed a lot of products. One product, I can name it like PyCR. We have developed with Google. This product is it's helping you to recover your data from the ransomware attack, and it will also protect from the future attacks. Similarly, for third-party assessment, these days the organizations are using a lot of third-party applications. How potential threats can happen, how to protect. So proactively we are helping the CISOs. Okay, and similarly we have multiple approach, and generally before engaging with any engagement, we do a thorough assessment along with CISOs and multiple departments. And we understand what kind of priorities they have, what are the areas they want to concentrate first. Based on their guidance, based on their approach, we accordingly work together to ensure smooth implementation and functions.
Perfect. Ravi, the last question for you. Now, obviously, we talked about the contemporary issues, contemporary things we are doing. When we talk about the future priorities, now, there are a lot of emerging trends in AI. AI is evolving. New use cases are coming into play. Because of that, CISOs are getting worried about the data security aspect. Now, how Google Cloud specifically is creating solutions for the future? You can talk about time horizons as well, but I want to understand what are your future plans when we talk about AI and specifically the security aspect of that.
Thank you. Well, from a threat standpoint, right, as you rightly said, deepfake essentially from a retail standpoint, deepfake is the biggest threat. So while AI is there to create good products, at the same time, the threat actors essentially are using AI to, for their own needs to essentially create, let us say, deepfake as a wide example that we may all see. Second one is, I would say, the threat essentially coming from various tools that we're using. No one is dependent on a single cloud or a single on-premise data center. The threats coming in from various models or possibly various tools that are, being, coming into the entire ecosystem. Let us say in the last 1.5 years, the number of tools that are coming into the entire ecosystem is like multiplied by, let us say, 3 times or 4 times. And the most important one essentially is to, find ways how to mitigate all of this. And when we talk about all of these, right, we need to essentially realize how AI can actually power this to solve them. Now, let's take the same example of airbags, right? As an enterprise, am I really ready to essentially, one is to find out what is the baseline? Is the threat already in place? Am I already breached? That's the baseline, right? So that's the assessment that we're talking of, possibly prior to the attack situation. And during the attack, as you rightly said, again, how soon can I recover from the attack? Do I have the tools? Do I have the people? Do I have the skill sets? As Malay said, to essentially, one is to detect the attack and possibly give a response to it. And the most important one is how soon can I recover? And how soon can I ensure that there is no recurrence of this happening? Right? So if you put all the 3 of them, essentially becomes a cycle. And from a Google standpoint, essentially, we have tools which were used because we essentially are being attacked from a Google standpoint globally. And these tools are now being passed on to the enterprises because these are tools which are powerful. So one is getting the baseline right with, say, solutions like AI-powered Chronicle, which is our own offering. And then getting to know what is the latest threat in the market, let us say from an industry perspective, BFSI, or from the segment perspective. So we have offerings from, let us say, Mandiant as an organization, which was acquired 2 years back. They essentially have the best of threats that's available globally. How good is your threat intel to essentially avoid a future attack? These are essentially powerful tools that we are now passing on to the enterprises, and the enterprises essentially are leveraging it either during the attack or post the attack, or essentially trying to use the entire circle with us. So that's really working well, and of course, the enterprises are leveraging it really well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We actually unearthed some really good points from CISO's point of view. What are the things you are focusing on? How you are ensuring your company employees are adhering to the policies, the protocols you are setting in place, so solutions we are creating, like response AI, etc., that you talked about, and then how we are preparing for the future.
Thank you.
Really great insights. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
very
having
much.
us. Thank you very much.